All right. Hope you guys are having a good evening. I want to thank you for tuning in to tonight's training. As is our custom, we will give people about 30 seconds to tune in before we get started. Wait just a few seconds for people to roll in if they're interested. I want to thank you guys who are here. I got my eye on my watch. All right, we'll get the introduction started, and by the time people roll in, we will be in the meat of our training. Welcome tonight. My name is Brenton Harrison of Escape Student Loan Debt. We are an online education company with trainings for student loan borrowers with federal and private student loans that have a balance or a payment that's become a major barrier in one aspect of their financial life. It could be their credit, it could be their dreams for home ownership, it could be their relationships, whatever it is that they're dealing with. We offer solutions to fit those needs. I'm a little tongue-tied this evening. I want to thank you guys for joining tonight's training. And in this training, we're going to tell you a little bit about a student of ours who was in a situation where they had career pursuits that they had passion for, that they felt would bring them some sense of fulfillment. But the way that they had to position themselves for those career pursuits was worrisome as it related to their student loans. I'll give you a few more details. This student of ours lived in Savannah, Georgia. His name was Jared, and Jared wanted to be a psychologist. And if you know anything about the path to become a psychologist, there's multiple layers to it. First, you have to do an undergrad degree. If you want to get your highest earning potential, you have to get a master's degree, and then you have to get a PhD. Not really a field that pays the best if you stop after the undergraduate degree. Unfortunately, for a number of years, that's what Jared did. Went to school, got his undergrad, was not quite sure that he had what it took to get his master's in the field, so just put it off until kind of got that drive, that motivation, and decided to go back to get their master's. So Jared went back to get his master's, took on about $60,000 in federal student loan debt. And now he gets to the process where you're saying, okay, well, I can get my master's and then I go straight for my PhD. It's not exactly how his field works. See, after he got his master's, he had to go through a process called licensure. And he had to get a certain amount of hours, either in sessions with patients or monitoring sessions from another professional, to make sure they were positioned to get their licenses and then positioned to go get their PhD to maximize that earning potential. Well, the big problem with licensure is you don't get paid very much for most people while they're going through the licensure process. So Jared, who had already taken on undergraduate debt, then took on $60,000 of master's debt, was worried that, hey, I'm going to be making next to nothing for the next 2 or 3 years while I work my licensure requirements. And then I'm going to be having to go back to get even more student loan debt when I get that PhD. But this is the field that I want to pursue. Is this the right thing for me if I'm just putting off into the future this mountain of debt that I'm going to have to pay off when I already have an amount now that seems insurmountable? And we don't have to delay the point. We don't have to delay the solution for Jared, because I told him very quickly about one of the best opportunities he had at his disposal. He met us and started talking to us about his loans before he graduated from his master's program. I'll tell you why that's so important. If there is an ideal time that I can talk to someone who's worried about their student loan debt, it is in the semester before they graduate from school. And the reason has everything to do with the type of payment plans we've been discussing as it relates to federal student loans, income-driven repayment plans. Because these payment plans ask you to pay based on a percentage of your income from the previous year. So one of the first things that we told Jared to do was in that last year before he graduated, the last semester, we told him to file his tax returns. Now, he thought this was ridiculous because he didn't earn any money during that year. He was in school. We told him, just trust us. File the tax return even though you didn't make any money, because this is the key to making sure that your student loans are manageable throughout your licensure requirements. Here's why it helped. If the income-driven payment plan is based on your income from the previous year, and they ask you to pay, say, 10% of that income, but they're looking at Jared's previous year, and in that year he earned $0, 10% of zero is zero. So he would have a $0 student loan payment, but because he actually signed up for his income-driven plans, his student loan servicer would treat it as if he paid. He would get a year's worth of credit. Now, the next thing that we brought to Jared's attention is that the places where he was doing his licensure were eligible institutions for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So not only would he be getting credit towards paying, even though he was paying $0, he would be getting a year's worth of credit towards his 10-year requirement for public service loan forgiveness. And if he meets all 10 years, every single dollar of his student loan bill would be forgiven. So he's doubling up on his benefits, $0 on the payment, and he's getting credit for each of the 3 years of his licensure that he would be needing to get towards his 10 years of public service loan forgiveness. Now, if he goes back to get his PhD program, that would probably take him 4 to 5 years. And during that period of time, he was planning to work at least part-time at an institution that, you guessed it, was still eligible for public service loan forgiveness. So if during that period of time where he was earning money, he continued to pay his loans, we would be staggering his bill. The first year after he left school from his master's, he would have no payment. Remember, in that next year, it's going to be based off of the previous year. So he would still have a pretty low payment because he's not earning a lot of money during his licensure. During his PhD program, he would probably be working part-time as well. So he would not be in a position where he had to worry about a long student loan payment. And after his PhD program, he would still, at least for the first year, have a student loan payment that was based on his last year in schooling. When we put this timeline out for Jared to see, he realized that he would not be paying a significant amount toward his student loans for years and years and years, but he would be getting a significant amount of credit towards public service loan forgiveness during a significant portion of that time. And by the time he finished his PhD program, we projected he would only have to work 3 more years before his public federal student loans were forgiven in full. So this nightmare that he was worried about, I already owe so much, now I'm about to borrow even more, was something that in our minds he didn't even have to worry about. It was just a matter of us making him aware of what's available, the options that he has in terms of public service loan forgiveness, the options that he has in terms of how his tax return impacts his student loan payment, and putting it in front of him so he knew that he was going to be just fine as it related to his student loans. I hope you enjoyed this training. Once again, my name is Brenton Harrison, and if you are an established professional and you know that you have a student loan balance or payment that's become a major barrier in one aspect of your financial life, I invite you to check out the link at the end of this video and at the bottom of this video, and let's get started on a plan for you.